when stories gotta collide, alibis get swept aside. I got proof that can't be denied. The data don't lie, people do. Waves crashing, secrets in the tide. Facts and numbers side by side. Through the chaos I will abide. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. The vibe, digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do.
Just for the 1, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4.
It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. The data don't lie, people do. It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. The data don't lie, people do.
G'day, my fearless little ferreters of file ferkery. How are we all today? I was a little bit worried about actually saying the F word at the beginning of a stream because they sometimes don't like that. So you got ferkery instead. While we wait for a few people to pop in, let's do a little quick catch up on, hang on. Let's do a little quick catch up on some things. I was actually going to try and do a little intro on the Afro Man court hearing. It was hilarious. You guys have to see it. But I don't want to mess this stream up because like all his music is copyrighted and they actually play it through the court hearing, and that was actually the funniest parts where they were playing his song over and over. It was so funny. but I won't do it today, so I don't mess up this stream. So, what are the odds that Colleen Crawford retires before November and leaves? Well, they're probably pretty good, Mr. Yannetti. So let me say hello to whoever's in the stream because that one's really slow. Obviously, hello, Mr. Yannetti. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Keith from Chicago, Illinois. Good to see you. And I think we got Michelle coming on shortly. She's not in the house yet, but she's on her way. Rachel in the house or on her way. So that's what we're going to do today, just to kick off with. There you go. There's Rachel. I think as soon as she sees what Ozzy figured out, she'll be retiring very soon. We will see. We will see, because the hubris is like, the hubris is bigger than their fear, I think, is what's going on here. We'll see. We will see. But anyway, so I'm going to try to not get too techie on yous today. Like, these reports that I'm working on, they're pretty techie. They're hardcore techie. So I'm going to try and keep it to plain English, maybe show some diagrams to sort of help you wrap your heads around it. Might be the easiest way, I think. But the demonstration that Rachel put together for us, for those who don't know, that's Data Decoder right now in the chat. The demonstration that Rachel put together for us is non-techie, although it's debatable. We had to do some serious head forkery to work out how we were going to demonstrate this, because it's difficult to follow just with timelines, like just working out where the times are meant to be. But the one thing we did work out is the times are not correct in the court footage. That much we're pretty sure of. And this video demonstration that Rachel put together for us kind of demonstrates not just how the court footage doesn't really line up, but even like a regular ticker, a regular ticker that's like counting the seconds in a regular clock. Well, you guys might know it as monotonic time now, just a ticker. We do have a ticker clock and the court footage times together in this demonstration. But we had to work out what we were going to anchor it to. If the court times are wrong, we had to decide on the most reliable anchor. And that was not easy to do. But for Rachel and I, we ended up settling on the ambulance as being the most reliable. It's not spot on. There's no particular reason it's more accurate than anything else. It's just one anchor that we felt we could rely on more so than the others, because it's on the matrix system, spelled MATRIS, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm sure Rachel will correct me if I got that wrong. But it's on a separate system to the Canton PD call out logs, and it's also very interconnected with other systems, so it's a lot harder for them to ferk with it. Okay. So we decided that was the more reliable timestamp. Strong legs into house. Howdy. Cool. It's good if you're at work. Like, I did sort of kick off a little early for everybody, so I expected that. But my whole sleep pattern is out at the moment, and if I left this till like you guys were all at home after work, I would have been out cold and we wouldn't have got the video out. So I ended up deciding I got to do it in your morning hours, and then by the end of it I'll be ready for bed. So for here in Australia it's 12:35 in the morning, so about 2 or 3 I'll be ready for sleep. But working on these files has taken a lot of time, and it's messed up my sleeping pattern like hardcore. But at least we're here, we're doing it. whether you're at work or whatever, it doesn't matter. We're good. So let's work out what we were doing. I think you all saw what I actually had for the ambulance files, right? How we were anchoring to the ambulance files as our time. I can pull those up just so that we can get that correct. I forget what it was now. What was the name of that file? None of those. So it will be one of these. Oh my gosh, I've lost the file. I did show it in the last video though. It's John's phone records. Do you remember what that file's called, Rachel? Yes, thank you. That's exactly what we were looking for. That's what it's called. Massachusetts Ambulance Trip Record Information System Matrix. I did get that right. But I don't remember what the file's called to pull it up. I might have just took a screenshot, perhaps. CDR Exhibit 206 Welcher. I must have just took a screenshot of it from Rachel sending it to me. So Famadi also testified that the arrival and departure times are from a third party. Hey, I'm glad you checked that. That's awesome. Mr. Unetti, I'm high functioning. Oh, good on ya. Welcome to the HFA world. Do you find that your Asperger's lets you super focus on a particular thing that most people would just give up on? Yes, Mr. Unetti, and for an inhuman amount of time. So sometimes I'm still working on files when Rachel goes to bed. She's like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to bed. She wakes up and I'm still working on that file. So, so yeah, thanks for that tidbit. Famadi did testify it's from a third party. So they're not easy to muck around with. So what we did was we looked through the video. So this is all Rachel's work. And she did an extremely good job at lining everything up. We got all of the dash cams lined up with their times that were shown in court. According to the Kelly Deva radio call, where she asks, I forget what it is that she asks now, but I will point it out when we get to it. But they get Karen's name mixed up. Instead of calling her Karen Reed, they call her Karen, whatever the street name is. So they get her name. That's the Deva call. We lined all those dash cams up with that call because it all comes at the same time. And then, because none of the FOIAs came in with timestamps, by the way, even though we did see timestamps in court, we didn't get them with timestamps. They were all cropped out. They were just like this film strip with all black at the top and black at the bottom. That's not how the dash cams record, incidentally. But they were obviously trying to crop something out so we couldn't see it for the FOIA production. Where was I? So yeah, we lined up all of the dash cams with that call from Deva, and Rachel used the clock sync in Adobe Premiere because it runs pretty accurate to the second. So we lined them all up. We chucked their own clocks onto all of their own dash cams, and then we lined up the ambulance arrival is all synced up if you use the court times. So for that ambulance arrival, we used their document when they say they arrived on scene, and we kind of lined that up with their footage, and wouldn't you know it, it's all out of whack. So that's part of the confusion here. If you see these times and they get you confused, join the club, because we're all confused. But they are out of whack. So it didn't matter if we aligned all of the dash cams with the ambulance's arrival. If we align it with the arrival, which this video I'm about to show you is, then it doesn't line up with their departure. And if we line it up with their departure, it doesn't line up with their arrival. So, there's some footage missing. And I think I've worked out how much footage is missing. But let's look at the video anyway. So let me get it on the screen for y'all. I don't know, did I explain that all good? Does everyone understand what we're going to look at and what's going on with these timestamps? Because it's a head fork. All right, I think it's this one we want here. So were the FOIA files freshly edited from the metadata, or were they originals? They were not originals, and the ones in court were not originals. But we'll get into how I know that that's all the case. We'll get into that shortly. But yeah, we can just watch through this first. Let me pop Rach off the screen there. So when I'm looking at doing a binary deep dive, especially for some of these videos, some of them are like 2 hours long. So if I'm looking at every bit and byte in the entire file, it takes a long time. Even if I write a script to do it for me, it still takes forever. So I want some hard and fast sort of idea on what I'm looking for before I dive into the file, so I know what scripts to write to look at what's going on. And then if nothing in my scripts match, hey, we got a guest. Hey, Shell, how's it going?
Hello, hang on, I think I just popped up the sound.
I know. Do you want me to mute you for a sec? Okay, so if my scripts don't line up with anything, then there's nothing there. And this happens quite a bit. So when I find files where there's stuff not matching up to what we're noticing, I put them aside. I don't bother with them. They become what we call a control. So we have control files where there's not a lot going on. They kind of look normal. And then we've got files that are outliers. So controls and outliers. That's what that will mean throughout all of this. So just so you know. Now I'm going to have to pop Shell and I off the screen. You can still hear us. But if I pop us off the screen, you good, Michelle?
Yeah, I think so. Am I good now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We can hear you, and we're not on the screen because otherwise we're in front of these time slots. Pardon me.
Are you cutting out or me?
I don't know. Who's cutting out? The chat will tell us what happened when you line them up with the same time. Even if we lined them up with the same time, there's still minutes missing. So we still, I think it was 13 minutes was the difference, even if we lined them all up. So just looking at the screen here so you know what we're doing. So this big time here, this is the EMS time. That's the one that we synced with the ambulance arrival. And then this time here, this is Saraf on his dash cam, according to his times and the court times. This over here is good on his camera. This is Saraf's rear camera. We use this to see when the ambulance arrived, because you can see it in the back windscreen here. It's all flashy. You can see it actually pull up, brother. No cutout watching. Okay, so that might be you, Michelle. Am I faster than you for a change? And then at the back here, over here, we've got Mulaney, and that's his front. Oh, I think it's you. I think it's you. Okay, Michelle's got some issues. All right, so while she gets her shit together, we can actually hear you. I can hear you doing something in the background, Michelle. Let's watch this through now so you guys can see the progression. Sorry, Michelle. She's having troubles. Hang on. Let me you're right, Michelle? She's having trouble. So I'm just going to mute Michelle for 1 second while we watch this through. But when she sorts her shit out. All right, here we go. I can still hear her. Can you guys hear her? I'll just take her off the stage. Right. All right, Michelle. So this actually starts with no sound at all, but when the sound does kick in, I'll just mute it for a bit, because all you can actually hear is the car bumping and stuff until they arrive. But what I would point out here at this point, 6:09, is actually Seraf's original time. But the reason it can't be the right time is because Jen's still on the phone getting switched through to Canton PD dispatch at 6:09. It's something that I noted when I took Seraf's footage. She was still on the phone. He hadn't even been dispatched yet. So that was kind of the first clue that things weren't quite right. But yeah. So even there, the beginning of their court footage is not right. And there you go. There's the sound of the car. Let's mute that. When he first pulls up, we'll unmute it again because you'll hear Karen. The other thing that Rachel did for us was improve the sound so that we could hear Karen calling out when he first pulls up and says, "What's going on here?" So we do get a little bit better sound for that. So right now I've just got it muted until he gets there, but this is where we're at right now. So how are you going there, Michelle? Are you organised?
I just don't know what I can see you and hear you. I got YouTube's up, but I don't know what's going on in Restream.
I actually got you now, and you're strong. So, is it still patchy for you?
No, well, I've got like the Restream in the background and YouTube in the front, and it's telling me that I'm disconnected on fucking the Restream. Sorry, don't worry about me. I'm here, and I'll.
All right.
When I can dive in, I will.
Radio. Well, I'll just put you on mute. I'll just actually take it off the thingy just for now, and then bring you back on. Bring you back on when we're ready. All right.
Yep, all good.
Okay. All right, so we should be pulling up soon. I forget what time it is, but you can already see the EMS time is well ahead of these guys. What we did find was it was a consistent 3 minutes and 40 seconds difference between the EMS time and their dash times. So, hello, Alice. Ali. I'm terrible at reading names on the screen. Hello, Ali. Ali Steep, I think that is. So, hello, Ali. Boomer Balls, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, so where are we? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so it's 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It stays constant all the way through to the end. Like, I think it stays constant. Actually, I think Rachel actually noticed something fell out of sync at some stage. Although I forget if it was this copy or something else while we were trying to nut it out. But here we go. Look, he's arriving. So did you hear it?
Does he have drug problems? Does he do drugs? Does he do drugs? Huh?
Hi, Wanda.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see the ambulance arriving? See the ambulance arriving? Let me just take it back a little bit. All right, so looking in the back of Saraph's, looking in the back window of Saraph's rear camera, you can see when the ambulance actually stops. So just show you again. Right there. And then also down here in Mulaney's, you can see he's turned into that street. He turns into that street right on 611, according to his camera. But this is where our time here matches with the EMS time. So Saraph's got it at 11. Mulaney's got he's at 611. So that's where you can see that point where we synced the big clock, the overall clock, with the ambulance's arrival or their declared arrival on their matrix report. So what was it? What was I going to point out here as well? I think that was So notice when people are walking in front of cameras and whatnot, you will notice that they're all in sync. You'll see these people walking around. You'll see them here also in Mulaney's camera. And when Good shows up, you'll see they're all synced that way. So this person standing here is way over here in this footage. I found it somewhat distressing listening to Karen stressing. So now goods online leaving Canton PD. So the next point that we sync up with is when they put John on the gurney and start wheeling him to the ambulance. So right here, this is the next point that we sync up with. It's a little bit out according to the EMS when they actually put him on the gurney. Could you fire the car dash cam call out for Jill Daniels? Fire the car dash cam call out for Jill Daniels and compare the timestamps on that footage first. I'm not sure what you mean, Mr. Yannetti. Wasn't it the Jill Daniels Turtle Boy thing months later? I'm not sure how that would sync to any of these. So the next timestamp is when the ambulance leaves. That's also in the Matrix records. That's a good point, Mr. Unetti. Not for the timestamps, but for the control file. It doesn't look like it's been ferkeried. Because I didn't have a control for any of these. They're all ferkeried. So you see, good, he goes past the fire truck first and then pulls up beside Saraf, blocks the ambulance, because, you know, that's the smart move. Block the ambulance so they can't get out fast. Yeah, that's a good idea, Mr. Yannetti. I'll see what else has been foyered. We did get some more foyer drops in the last day or two. Probably don't need that until the radio announcement. Oh, I forget when the radio announcement actually is, to be honest. Might just leave it. If there's a control video where we could compare a non-altered video. Yeah, I think that's what he's getting at. Not for the timestamps, but because the timestamps is the Jill Daniels thing is months later. So that's right, Michelle. It's not banked up on the side of the road like they said. So with all the other files, except for the dash cams, I did have controls. There were relatively clean data sets in the other files, like John's front ring cam and his driveway ring cam. We got a ton of those videos, like a ton of them. A lot of those were pretty clean, even though they were still re-encoded specifically for FOIA. They were all pretty clean. So that gave me a control file to measure against all the ring footages, for example. So I had like 106 control files for that. No, the metadata's screwed. Most of the metadata is completely wiped on all the files. The metadata for the ring cameras, like I said, we had 106 control files to look at for the ring cameras. Ring doesn't actually save too much metadata. It saves its own camera format and stuff, but it doesn't save time formats. What it does is it saves the file as the time format. So that was a sort of a hard to get your head around thing. But we did find other things in the ring footages. We'll get there. Right, the ambulance was first in line, then the fire captain cruiser, and then the fire truck. Even though the Canton report showed the fire truck first, exactly. And the ambulance is the only one that couldn't be changed. That's it. Thank you, Rachel. We'll get to all the metadata information after this, after we get to the ambulance leaving in this file. So, yes, Michelle, Jen looks really concerned about her family inside. Two things that struck me watching this over and over again, like we had to do to organize it, was that it was distressing listening to Karen freaking out. And then it was amazing listening to Jen's freaking tongue going 100 miles an hour the whole fucking time. That was amazing. Amazing. Amazeballs. She's a talker. At the point just before the ambulance leaves, you'll see Good reverses up to let the ambulance out. So he held them up at least another, possibly 2 minutes. Just walking from, I don't even know where he is in this scene right now, but just walking from wherever he is in this scene to his car once he realised the ambulance was ready to leave. He held them up, so that's right. And you spelt it wrong, Mr. Yannetti. Talker. That's better. Michelle got it. Talker. Watch Mulaney walk to his cruiser. Take note of it because you may see him do the exact thing again minutes later. That's right, Emia. Hang on. I don't know how to say that. I hope I got it right. Watch Mulaney stand there and hold his dick for a while. Is that here somewhere? I'm sure that's here somewhere. You watch. He'll just stand there and like put his hands in his pants for ages. Like just frozen on the spot with his hand on his doodle. Yep, making sure they're still there, Michelle. I don't know. He's just standing in a weird position for an incredibly inhuman amount of time, which Rachel noticed. And I think we actually did find some data anomaly in that spot. I think it's on good stream. Watch now, watch. No, not yet. For a weirdly long time. That's right, Michelle. I know it's coming up eventually. Give me the timestamp, Rachel, if you're at the keyboard. Or did we already pass it? Right, when Kerry starts to drive off. So I think Seraph walks right in front of him, and then he's just like behind Seraph, just standing there with his hands on his ball sacks. Who's that car? Look, see the car pulling up right now? Who's that car pulling up behind Mulaney? I never worked out who it was, but somebody else pulls up. But we've got all 4 cruisers on site. We've got Mulaney on site. We've got Good on site. We've got Seraph on site. Who's the last cruiser that just pulled up there behind? I don't know if it's Manny. I don't know what sort of car he's got, Michelle. Does anyone know what sort of car he's got? Who is he phoning? Phoning a friend? He could be phoning a friend. I don't know. Does anyone know what sort of car Maddie's got? Because I'll just take it back a little bit and show you. Like, you see here, he comes and pulls in behind behind Good, sorry. Oh no, behind Mulaney on Good's camera. Oh shit, I think I just went too far. I went way too far. Just watch it again. You watch, it turns in here. Let's see which way it turns in from, this way or this way. Because that might give us a clue who's rocking up, right? Hello, beautiful butterfly. I'm a beautiful butterfly. For those, oh, look, it's coming from that way. So that car just turned in that way, and that would be from Jen's direction, wouldn't it? I just realised I was behind. It's all good. You're about a minute behind because I don't have the I didn't set the latency today because I wanted you to get good quality video. You get a choice: bad quality video at your end, or good quality and latency. So that means that you're about a minute behind me in the chat. But yeah, what do you reckon? Cedar Crest, right? He turned left off Cedar Crest, and that is actually in the direction where Jen lives, isn't it? So that's interesting. And I don't know, I thought if it was Berkowitz, he would come from this direction, like pull up behind Seraph and the fire trucks, maybe behind Good. That's what I thought if it was the chief. Chief Dershowitz. I don't know who was Dershowitz. What was his name? It was something Witz. Could be Dershowitz. No, I think, can't remember his name now. Chief something. Anyway, I thought if it was the chief, he would come up behind Good, or behind the ambulance and the thingy from like the direction of town where Good and Seraph just came from. Don't they show him and Kerry going into the house together? Well, I believe over here you can see, if we get the zoom in happening, the zoomy zooms, Berkowitz, thank you. Dershowitz is that lawyer dude, isn't it, that got Epstein off? Hang on, that didn't come out right. He got Epstein special charges. Oh my god, we've had some fun with the language. Right. I said to Rachel, what did I say? I said, I'll leave this with you while you get that mathed out. Not methed out, mathed out. Because math is not a word. I was just making sure she didn't get the methed idea. I was just making a joke. And then she replied, I'm on it. I mean, I'm working on it. I'm not on it, but she's on the job. So that was pretty funny. But anyway. So there you go. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Maddie's car. I don't know. But I'm on the same page. Not on the math, that's right. On the same page as, I think, Michelle here and possibly Rachel, that could be Matt coming in there from Cedar Crest. So if you watch here, you might see him. Oh, he's there. Whoever that was, that's him there, isn't it? So this is where Karen gets shoved into Kerry's car. And you can see Jen's not in the car with her. Lank. Thank you. That's who it is. It's Lank. And he must not have had his cruiser. It must be his own car, not the cruiser. And not had his dash cam on. Or not had his dash cam on. Lank. He's the one that arrives. Did you see him walk up there? It's weird how many times we watched this and didn't put that together already. So when was the prayer session? Well, this says 26. But I mean, it's all fucked up. Like, this clock here isn't matching shit. And this clock here isn't matching shit. So it's all fucked up. So we don't know when the prayer session was. And then through the 24, if I take it back to 24, you can see Jen's actually not on the screen anywhere. So it's too hard to say where that, supposed search was supposed to happen. Anyway, let's get back into where we were. I was so hoping once we got these files, we'd bust Jen somewhere here. But we'll get to that because I think the busting Jen was actually removed. That's where I think this all starts misaligning so badly. By the time the ambulance is leaving, it's all out of whack. The timestamp down here doesn't match, and these timestamps can't be right if that's when the ambulance is leaving. So I think that 24 minute to 23, 24 minutes, that's where they had to edit Jen out. Now, Good's reversing up to let the ambulance out. So we'll stop that as soon as the ambulance starts moving. There we go. So we aligned the big clock at the bottom here with the ambulance arrival. But now it's out of sync with the ambulance departure. However, the dash cams are actually in sync with the ambulance departure. So work that one out. I think that's the way it works, isn't it, H? So what's all this then? Boosh. Boosh. The mighty boosh. I don't miss driving in the snow, yuck. Nobody does. I've never driven in the snow, by the way. I've never even seen a snowflake. No idea what you're talking about. Yes, this is Karen Reed stuff. So I'm busting their balls, boosh. So yeah, this timestamp matches when the ambulance says that they're leaving on the matrix report. That's interesting. I'll put that on the screen. No, I won't, because it's covering up all our timestamps. I got that right though, didn't I, Rachel? The EMS actually does say it's leaving at 6:27. The problem is we lined up this with the EMS arrival. So why does this no longer match the EMS departure if it's lined up with their arrival? That's the problem. Then, oh, oh, I'm glad you've joined. joined us for your first live KRB 26. Yeah, so let me hit the play button. We'll just get through this. I got so much to tell you because there's so much more than this. So somehow they got the ambulance to arrive at the right time. They got the ambulance to depart at the right time, but none of it's the right time according to the ambulance records. And none of it matches a proper time clock. So this is counting millionths of seconds and it's running the same speed as all of these are. So work that one out. All of these emergency vehicles, and the only footage we saw was Jen taking Karen directly to the body. Exactly. Oh, but there's more about that as well. Hi all, I'm watching. Love all you guys. You're at work. No worries. Thanks, Mum of 4. Thanks, Denise. Yeah, so I'm going to cut that short now. Those are the timestamps we couldn't get to match up. This goes on all the way through to Deva's radio call. Obviously, with the radio call, that was how we got all of these all in sync with that radio call. We got those all in sync with the radio call, but this one synced with the ambulance arrival. So it's just too weird. It's too weird how it all happens. But I got some explanations coming. I do have some explanations. And each one is different. It's so fucking weird. Each one is different, but how each one is different is also the same in other files, not dashcam files. We'll finish this as soon as we hear the Deva call so that you can see that they're all lined up. Although I'm not sure that Rachel enabled the audio on all of them. And then I do have desktop audios. Let me just go and find these audios. Front ring, Canton PD audio. Six. Ah, shit, I've lost the audio. What? $6:38:03. I think it is when we hear it here. What's the latest with the Google investigation? More corruption affecting the Reed case. Yes, Squirrel. Indeed, a lot more. I have audio enabled, but this is the one that I think I got overlapped. I can't remember if I redid it or not to fix the audio. We'll see. So 38. I think it's 6. Hang on. 6:38:03, I think, is the Deva radio call. Here's where Jen takes the phone out and shows them something. Over here, she's about to take her phone out and show them something. I don't know if they will face charges, Mick. Mick's asking, as none of MSP or Canton Video has metadata, will they face charges? I don't know if they'll face charges, but I'm pretty sure Karen's got a pretty good, strong case for malicious prosecution once I show you guys what's in all of these files in place of that metadata. Oh, I missed it. I was talking and I missed to take the phone out. Sorry, Rach. There's literally not a frame in this that Rachel hasn't seen and played through and rewound and played through and rewound, played through and rewound 100 times. So any minute now, we should hear the radio call. I think it's 6:38:03, according to which clock. I know it all by heart now. I know you do, Rach. In fact, if I don't feel like rifling through the film footage, I just go, Rachel, what timestamp was blah blah, and she was just straight up. Here we go. It happens here. Although we're going to listen to this freaking noise for ages before it actually does happen. This bit annoys me. I don't know how you listen to this bit 100 times, Rachel. This annoys me. It's like, answer the bloody phone already. So we still have 5 more minutes. Yeah, but I don't want to listen to this for 5 minutes. Hang on. I just saved you all from listening to that. Who's ever dial tone it is, you suck. This is a little bit off topic. Why did Berkowitz call Higgins? No idea, man of the white knife. Is it a joke? Is this like a knock-knock joke? Trick question? Yeah, 38. So it's coming up any second now. Oh, you dickhead. Sorry. I pressed the wrong button. I went for the volume and hit the slider instead.
Are you aware of the party on scene where the caller named Karen?
All right, so that was the whole point of getting there. Sorry, hang on. No trick, and how did he know to call him? I don't know. I have no idea. But it's a good question. So I'm just going to blow my nose, but I just wanted to point out that this is what we synced all of these dash cams with to put those timestamps on the screen. Those are all synced with this radio call, which according to the file log, so we did actually get the audio channel 1 radio for 0638.03. That's the timestamp on that audio. Which almost matches what we've got happening on there. their screen. So that's how we did all of that. But you can see that nothing lines up, even though theirs are lining up with other timestamps that they introduced through trial. The actual clock that's running alongside of it is not matching up to any of it, according to the EMS records. So, and as I said before, even if we synced this clock with the ambulance's departure, it then didn't match the ambulance's arrival. So I forget how many minutes by, but it was I think we got confused by how many minutes it was, didn't we, Rachel? I think it's like 4 minutes and something. Because Higgins called him while he was at Canton PD. Higgins called Berkey from Canton PD, yeah. That's true. All right, it's a good question, but I can't answer it for you. Certainly not going to get the answer out of these files. So let's move on now to what I actually did find between these files. So let me go to Seraph first. Seraph's probably the easiest one to understand out of everything. Yeah, Seraph's is the easiest one. So let me stop sharing that. And wait, oh, that's not what we wanted. We want thank you, KRB. Glad someone understands it. All right, so let's have a look at this one first. So this is my binary analysis. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. All right, now I'm sorted. This is my binary analysis on Seraph's file. So we'll start with that one. It's probably the easiest one to understand. So you see this, hang on, let's get over here. So you see this section here, how it's yellow and red. That is a whole bunch of weird frames going on. So remember a while back I explained to you iframes and p frames. So in a video, what happens in a video normally is you have things that aren't moving in the video are called p frames. So that's your background or whatever's not moving. If I was talking to you, the only iframes would be my mouth and face. That's all that's moving. The background would be p frames. It stays constant. So that's what iframes and p frames do. That's just a lot less work for the video encoder, basically, for the video to play. So it's only giving you an iframe and an index frame when something moves. It's not giving you index frames for every single frame in the entire video. It's the best way I can explain it. So what you're looking at here is that these iframes and p frames are all of a sudden really, really weird. And on top of that, if you look at this down here, this is that section right there. But inside that section there is, so we got normal recording, which is all this area here. It's normal recording. And then there's a deleted window. And that deleted window happens at 0:30 in the footage, playtime, not actual time. And 0:35:54. So there's deleted time there. It's 5 minutes and 27 seconds deleted there. I can show you that in the footage. And then there's this preserved area where everything's all good again. And then there's another deleted window between 0:34 and 41. And it's 6 minutes deleted in that section. And then the remainder of the recording ends up not back to how the start was. The remainder of the recording ends up different. So you see the color codes we've got pre-predicted frame and pre-key frame. So the darker blues are the P frames and the lighter blues are the I frames. And that's all pretty normal, except there's a whole bunch of bad audio packets and garbage video packets. All these black lines in between are garbage. So there's a bunch of garbage going on in the black lines. Then we come to this area here where there's deleted sections at 030. The 21st arrives on scene. I'm going to go to 030 in the footage right now and show you. So we can match that up with the footage. Let me go 030. No, it's not. 030 in the footage is, it's not when he first arrives. Let me share that screen back to this one. He's going to flip around a bit so that you got. Sorry, guys. How about now? Fucking hell. Okay, am I back now? All right. I don't know. How long was that out for? Jesus. Because I took myself off the screen. It took my audio out. All right. So back down here. Am I still here? About 5 minutes, no audio. Oh no. Sorry. Oh, what a big screw up. Well, I hope you were looking at something interesting in that 5 minutes. Sorry. All right, that means I got to go back and explain all this again. Replace that with this window. All right, so you didn't actually get the explanation of what this is all about, right? No, I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. I screwed up because I took myself off the stage so I wasn't in the way of the visual. It might be best off doing it this way. Let's do it this way instead, and that way I don't screw up. It just makes it too small for people who are on phones. That's all. So explaining from the top. See this section here? That's the bit is as close to normal iframes. But then through this section here, all the iframes are, sorry, this is all normal P frames and a very few iframes, but just some things that change. But then through this section here, it all changes. We get all iframes and no P frames at all. So that whole section is all screwed up. We've got a deleted window at there's 5 minutes and 27 seconds deleted from the footage, and then there's a bit more preserved, and then there's 6 minutes and 33 seconds deleted from the footage. So all up in the whole Suraf dash cam, there's 12 minutes and I forget how many seconds missing. So right, so that's what the binary is telling us essentially. And then down here, you can see that same sort of section, and this is the keyframe density, basically where the density of the keyframes change, and then they don't really return to normal. They change really densely in here and then turn into something else here. So it's different from this section to this section, and then over to this section is different for all the way through. So down here, I've just got a different view of this area here, and broken it up into bits. So this is B1, the first cut. This one here is B1, the first cut, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So this is the cut here. And so this is before it, where we've got some normal predictive frames and normal iframes, but then it all changes in this section here. B2 is the second cut. So B2 is the second cut, which is about in the middle of all of this. So you can see that the frames have all changed again. And then this is the other side of that cut. But they're all quite different after the cut. So, and then the pre-zone, you've got a lot of junk. There's a lot, all the black spots in here are garbage packets. So the whole video is broken up into packets, and I had to study this a packet at a time. And this is what we found throughout the whole file, multiple files. All of these dash cams have got screwed up packets. This one in particular, and Ray, his and also so see, Ray and Good, same cruiser. So Good goes to the scene, which is what we just watched then. He drives it back to Sallyport, parks it up, and then Ray jumps in later, hops in and drives out to do the welfare check back at One Meadows. That whole file of Ray and Good is like this. It's got garbage packets everywhere all the way through the file. It's 2 hours of footage, which I couldn't fit it all on the screen to show you 2 hours of these this diagram, because it was too hard to fit it all on the screen. It actually squashed them all together and you couldn't see them, a little bit like this is, but squashed together way more, because this is only 1 hour basically 1 hour and 9 minutes, whereas if I try to put the whole 2.5 hours on the screen, I think it's more than that, 2 hours and 40 minutes on the screen, you wouldn't see any of this because it was all too bunched up. So so I broke it up, and this is Saraf's dash cam, which is only the 1 hour, and that's what I found in here. So let me switch now to Ray's dash cam. Yes. I tell a lie, I did end up squishing it all. I did end up squishing it all on the screen, but you can see they're all bunched up like way tighter. But you can still see all the garbage packets in this as well. And then you see where Karen's car appears on the screen. So let me show you that. Whoops. Let me get Ray's video on the screen. I just got to find it. Hang on. I need to open it first in QuickTime. In here, Karen Reed dash cam. Here we go. Now, go remember whose is who. C. Stream C is the one we're looking for. That one there. Open with QuickTime. Oh, that's right. I can't fucking open it with that. Hang on. I know which one to open it with. Let's open it with BLC. You're familiar with BLC. We saw them open some of these files with BLC. Let me restart that playback. Let me share the BLC with you. So in this one, we're looking for this spot here where it's marked in red. And that red spot there is when the back of Karen's car first comes into view on Ray's dash cam. Interesting that it falls right there, right? So let me just get that on the screen, which I think is right on 2 hours. Let me get this right. Let me just make sure I got all my times right here. It is 1 hour 56 that I need to take you to. Right, let me share that screen so you all can see what I'm looking at. Window. You can see the VLC now. Right. 156. God damn it. We should be pulling into John's driveway here somewhere. I hope I got it right. Yes, I do. All right. Okay, here's where Karen's car first turns up on the screen. Bam, right there. It's now on the screen. 156.52. Isn't it weird that we find a stitch boundary right there at that specific frame? Crazy, right? Wasn't expecting it. I was expecting, I don't know, from Sallyport right through to like his whole section, I thought was stitched, but that's not where I found it. I ended up finding the stitch marks right here as soon as Karen's car turns up on the screen. Right? And then it stays the same all the way through to the end. Let me switch back to the diagram so you can see. So this frame here that you're looking at, here it is on the diagram. See it right there, the red frame right there. That's it right there, what you're looking at when Karen's car first turns up on the screen. But look at the colours after that. It never goes back to normal. Like they didn't just cut out where her car was, which I think is from here, like, I don't know, here, and the rest is driving back to Sallyport. But the stitch mark is from here to the end. We didn't find anywhere else in there that changed back to this pattern, essentially. So do you think it was one techie person that did these things, or a group? No, it's one. There's a pattern. There's a pattern, my friends. It's one person, and they switched it up for different files. But what happens is if you look at all of the dash cam files, what they did to each dash cam file looks different. But when you match it up to all the other files, like the other Ring cameras with weird shit, there's one Ring camera that matches this stitch pattern. There's one, I'll go through them one at a time, but you'll start seeing the pattern shortly. I will refer back to which ones match which as we go through them. So, yeah, there's definitely one person, but they're just switching it up so it's harder to detect what they're doing. So, to me, there's no other explanation for this. It tracks with all the other things done around the house setup. It does, indeed. Indeed, KRB. So I'm just blown away over the extent of it. Exactly, Taco. I'm with you. I'm blown away too. Like I said, I didn't expect to find so much. I thought we would find a little suspicious thing here and a little suspicious thing there. I certainly did not expect all of this to survive re-encoding, for starters. That was when my head was blown. Rachel will tell you, I was just like, get out of here. Some of this shit is actually still in the files. Because in 2 files, the re-encode was so thorough that I couldn't find a lot in the files. You can see they were dicked with, but I couldn't get to this level of finding actual stitch marks and what they did to it. So there was 2 files. One was Ring cam footage, and the other one was Mulaney's dash cam. So you see what I'm saying? It's not all the dash cams have the same pattern. It's like one dash cam, Mulaney's, and one Ring cam have the same pattern. And then we have 2 dash cams and one library footage, for example, has the same pattern. So it's the same pattern but spread across different files to try and spread it out so it's harder to detect, if that makes sense. Like you literally had to go on binary analyze every single file to see which ones she did the same things to, if that makes sense. And I'm blown away too. It's crazy. So here, so in that little area there, we found the stitch boundary, right? There's a stitch boundary, but that's not all. In that stitch boundary, we also found what seems to be consistent with AI. There's certain ways that AI process video that's more, so if you look here, it's probably not a good example because there's so many dropped packets in this. There's so much that is all screwed up. All of these down bits are dropped packets, like corrupted basically. But if you're looking at like this and then it's straight up and then like this and then it's a straight across, that's kind of how it looks with AI. But when you're looking at a natural video, it's more like this, like more ups and downs between the frames and keyframes, between your P frames and your iframes. But digital is more this sort of pattern all the way through. And so that's what we found in here, something that's consistent with AI. I can't say for sure that it's AI. I can just say there's a lot of shit that matches what AI would look like going on in that purple section. So in the pre-zone, we can see the so the lighter blue is your keyframes and the darker blue is P frames. So we see some consistency there and how that is all going. And then in the post zone, even though we know that most of this had been processed through AI, we're still getting keyframes, the lighter purple and predicted frames, P frames in the lighter purple and keyframes in the lighter purple and predicted frames in the darker purple. Oh my God, I'm confusing myself now. But in the actual synthetic zone where that all happens, it's definitely it matches what AI would look like. It doesn't match. So in the backup video where she's backing out of the garage, a lot of that matches frame by frame kind of editing, but then some of it also has a little bit of sort of this square AI look about it. So thanks, Starco. And you can hog the chat. People will butt in if they want to. Who do you think this one person or group of people is that did this stuff? Obviously, it's Colleen Crawford. Obviously. Like, she's the one that's named as a custodian of records at the DA's office. She's the IT department who was emailed in on do this, can you do this to a video? We don't know what she was asked to do. We just know we want you to do something to a video. Then she sends an email back saying, yep, it's done. Here's the video. So we know that she was emailed in on things that were done to videos, just not what was asked of her to do to those videos. So, and look what happened to Kelsey right out in the open. Oh my God. It's the same friggin' office. We'll get to Kelsey stuff. Like right now, there's not a lot to look at with Kelsey stuff. And there wasn't with Karen's until we got the FOIA drops. Like I was really spinning my wheels trying to think of content before you guys and just trying to work out in my own head how things should work and explaining to you guys how things should work. But now we've got these FOIA drops. We're off to the races. So that's what we've got in Ray's dash cam. And his is the first part of the footage. Sorry, Ray's dash cam is the last part of the footage. Goods is all up here in this first this section here, which I haven't noted here because I didn't want to mix it up and look at both of them together. I just separated them out. But let's have a look at goods. We're going to zoom in on this little section on goods now. Oh no, that was Ray's. Hang on. Wait, I'm fucking confused now. Seraph's was 30. Hang on. Ray's starts right from the start. The fuckery starts right back here. So let me get Ray's up on the screen. Lieutenant Ray's visuals are structural scans. Oh, that is Ray's visuals. Sorry, I meant to say good. Okay, this is goods visuals. His right here, right at the start. So we're looking now at the group of pictures density, the keyframe fraction per 500 bin window is what we're looking at here. So his starts right back here at the start. It starts, let me see what time that is. 3:03:27, right at the beginning of this file. So let's get that into media player. Sorry, I got to put that into, because all these file types are different. Seraph and Ray and Good are in WMV format, which is Windows Movie format. Mulaney's is in MP4 format. So the scripts that I used to get these diagrams on the screen and to analyze, I had to rewrite it for all these different file types. And then when I opened up the, what was the last footage that I did, Rachel? When I opened up the Temple Beth footage, it's in MOV format. So I had to rewrite everything again for MOV format. It was so frustrating. So the big picture is they absolutely did not want anyone to see what happened on the scene that morning, plus other times. Exactly. So who have I got on the screen now? I've just forgotten. This is Good. Okay, so I've got Goods on the screen. He starts right at the start at 3 minutes around the 3.5 minute mark. So let me put his on the screen. Share screen. Oh my god, I hate this new interface. All right, we're back to here. So right back here at 3.5 minutes in is when the forkery starts happening in this file. So just watch what everyone's doing at this point, because now we're closer up. This is not the entire dash cam file. This is just the zoomed in part of it. But this is where the forkery starts happening for Goods camera. So this area here was spliced in. So now let me go back to the diagram so I can show you again. So the diagram's telling us that from that point, from 3.5 right through to an hour and 30, like his whole section is all screwed with. So the in point, his driving along is fine. Driving to the scene, it's still screwed up because the entire thing had bad packets, which we can see in that first little area. all the dark colors in here are bad packets. So because this is the start of Ray's footage, so the entire file had bad packets. But you see, as soon as he gets on scene, all the way to when he leaves scene, it's all fucked up. So that's a stitch point where it arrives. And then the departure point, when it comes out, that's when it switches over to Ray's camera in the purple section there. That's Ray's camera from that point onwards. So his whole section from when he arrives to when he leaves is a completely new video. It was taken out of the footage, it was edited, and then was stitched back in. And those orange markers that you're looking at are the stitched areas. Again, lots of drop packets, lots of garbage, noise, things I couldn't get values from. Oh dear. I'm back. Sorry. My internet's supposed to be better and faster, and it's being weird because I think there's clouds around. I just dropped out for a second. Sorry about that. I actually spent 4 days last week with no internet at all. Or was it 5 days? I can't remember how many. I know it was a couple of days with no internet at all because our Starlink router bricked itself while it was in the middle of a firmware upgrade. We had a power out, so it connected to the server, started updating its own firmware, and then the power went out and it bricked itself. So we had to actually order a completely new Starlink system, like everything, the satellite dish through to the router, because you can't hook up our older model dish to the new model router. So we're on a completely new system, and it is actually super fast. It's just got the same problem as the other one. When it's cloudy weather, we drop out occasionally. So I apologize if I'm dropping out on you. So on scene, they were covering things that were on video. What do you suspect they are covering? Yeah, so I have a lot of suspicions. Me and Rachel talked about speculating. She has her speculations and I have my speculations. But I think there's a range of things that they're trying to cover. And because you can see how much footage they're trying to like. So with goods footage, it's all the way from there to there. So there was a lot of stuff in goods footage. And I think it was various points. Whatever they changed in Seraph's had to match in goods footage. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had that synchronicity happening on the screen where everybody's in the right places at the right times. So I think that kind of stuff all had to line up. And so that's why in some of these other dash cam files, they actually had to take the whole lot out and then time it all with Seraph's and then put it all back in again. And so what I think they were removing in, so if we go back to Seraph's, because that's probably the smallest edit out of all of them, which I think could have been the first sort of edit, this little tiny bit here, I think that's in that window where Jen was claiming that she was in a cruiser with Karen, and Karen asked her to Google how long, that claim that she made, which is totally not supported by her phone. So I think that's what that original little edit was. And then however that turned out in that file, whatever they ended up with either side in that file, they then had to match it with all these other files. So with Ray's, no, he's way after all of that. I pressed the wrong button. Here's the start. With goods, they ended up having to cut all of his out and resync all of his to Seraph's. So that's what I think they've done there. It's not entirely all my expertise, incidentally. It is a lot of time, but it's not entirely all my expertise. I had to go back to the documents, the original peer review studies on how this stuff gets left over in the RIAN code, like what conditions are present for it to not be left over in the re-encode, and what conditions need to be present for it to be left over in the re-encode. So I had to look at both of those because we got some that are so well re-encoded, there was a lot I couldn't pick up except for looking at GOP, like the group of picture analysis and pixel analysis. Some of those files I could only do it on the pixel analysis. So that's looking at the difference between what's in the index frame previous to the P frame, and are all the index frames all just lined up consecutively, and all the P frames have been dropped. If we saw that kind of group or grouping, then we could tell the entire file had been properly re-encoded, so I couldn't see anything in the re-encoding data. But by measuring the exact points where the groups of pictures did or didn't line up, I could still see in the binary that they were edited, if that makes sense. So there was different ways that Crawford went about this, but I really did have to go back and study from scratch how the professionals do this. Like what is it that their software is actually doing? There's no way I'm paying for their software. I wrote all these scripts myself. There's no way I'm paying for all their different softwares that they use to analyze this. But I do have to say that a good chunk of what the forensic people would use is their own scripts. They would use FFmpeg, for example, to analyze certain frames and drop those frames so that they could be pixel analyzed against each other. That sort of stuff is pretty standard in the industry. That stuff's free. So I used a lot of that, but there was a lot of knowledge in between that I had to glean from software that they would normally just pay a subscription for. So what I do have to tell you is that all of my studies are based on what I was able to glean, because I'm not a forensic analyst. I'm just a data person. So I understand what the data is telling me. They need a forensic person to do this on their files. This is all FOIA files. They've all been processed a different way to the way disclosure files were processed, even though a lot of this I think is left over from the original disclosures that were given to Karen Reed's team. A lot of this stuff we're looking at has carried over and remained consistent in the binaries, but they have to go do this sampling themselves. They have to do the experiments, run the tests, and find out whether it matches the bits that I'm showing them in the later processed FOIA files. So I just needed to point that out. I cannot tell you that these actually exist in Karen's own disclosure files. I can only tell you what exists in the FOIA files, but I think the way it goes is her disclosure materials for trial 1 will have one set of changes in them, and then her disclosure materials for trial 2 will have a different set of changes, because of looking at different dates and things in the ferkery in the binaries. I feel like some of the dates line up with those sort of trial dates, so that I think she's going to find some stuff exists in the first lot, some stuff doesn't, some stuff carried over into the second lot, and more was done to them in the second lot for the second trial. She needs to do that on her own files and work out where those changes occurred. I'm pretty sure all the trial 1s are going to have something similar to what we're seeing here. I just don't know where those changes happened in the progress bar between trial 1 and trial 2. We might be looking at like only half of goods was screwed around with in trial 1, but then they realize if they want to play through this area, it's going to be messed up as well. So through trial 2, they had to do the whole section. Do you get what I'm saying? So of course it's criminal, and I don't know that anyone will prosecute it, but it's criminal. She's going to win her model case just on this stuff alone, so long as this stuff shows up in her files as well, she's going to win it on the mono file, on the mono claims alone, because this is part of the department policy. You know, Colleen Crawford's a keeper of records. She's got to prepare the stuff for trial, etc. This is all part of department policy. But where they have diverged from policy is going to be the part that's the monol bit. I don't know if you guys know what the monol bit is. It's monol versus oh shit. It just fell out of my head because I started talking about it. So the case that it's based on is monol versus I forget it. And I even forget the date. I don't know why, because I'm looking at data, that's why. In that case, they ruled in favour of, they actually laid out exactly what, when things diverge from department policy, but department policy allows it to diverge because they don't have the right policies in place to stop it from diverging. So the fact that the raw files were never handed over, the fact that the ones that are handed over are all tampered with, the fact that there was no chain of custody for any of the files, all that sort of stuff, that all falls under the monol case or the monol claim. And that goes against the city of Canton. And then the Section 1983 is completely aside to the monol, or the monol's like a sub case inside of the Section 1983 suit. In that one, she's like got enough here to prove that Proctor asked Colleen Crawford to do stuff to the files, and then Colleen Crawford replied in emails, yep, I've done it, the files are done. So she's got Proctor linked into that monol chain, but as a personal, in his personal capacity, not as a cop. So that's how it all ties together. But this stuff has got to show up in her files. I'm 100% sure half of it's going to show up in the first trial disclosure and the other half's going to show up in the second trial disclosure. Second trial should look more like what we're seeing here. I thought Colleen Crawford came across like she was hiding things. There was something about her demeanor. Did she actually testify? I don't even remember her testifying. If Deitch wins, would he prosecute, or would a prosecution open all past convictions to be appealed with video and Australia? I don't know. I don't know what Deitch would do. Looking at his website, he does have a plan on what he's going to do, but it's all about kicking everyone out and cleaning it up. I don't see anything in there where he's looking to prosecute. So, you know, I didn't think Colleen Crawford testified. The only reason we know her face is because of her LinkedIn, but I don't think she didn't testify, but she looks like one of the women who testified. So I can understand if you got mixed up. Can't remember who was the chick that she looked like. One of the lab girls. She looked like one of the lab girls. Or one of the lab girls looks like her, whichever way you prefer. But all right, so let's go to Exact Vision. Completely different files again, but we see some similar stuff going on with this. So, so this is what you're looking at now is what a stitched file would look like. We see absolutely where there's stitch points, where the file actually changes in structure, and then switches to a different structure. We can see these stitch points. The second type is deletions, which we saw here in Seraphs. Okay, so we see deleted windows, which they are in here. So that red line there is a deleted window, and that purple line there is a deleted window, right? So keeping that in mind, that's the pattern. When she wants to take some video out, adjust it, fix it all up, encode it, stick it back in, that looks like the last page. When she wants to delete stuff, this is what it looks like here, this page. So when we look at the exact vision, which is here, now we see some things happening. The exact vision was actually way better telling what was going on because of the way exact vision packages the files. First of all, what exact vision does is it says, okay, here's my payload of video, and I'm going to rebuild a new file. I'm going to call it an exe file. At the start of this file, I'm going to stick my player, exe, and then I'm going to tack on to the end of that the video file. And at the same time, it doesn't compress any of it. For some reason, it uses a UPX compression, but it's not compressed. So that's weird in itself, but that is how the player works. So for this one, I did have a control. I had the entire exe player stub that it tacks onto the payload. I downloaded it from ExactVision, so I've got that stub to compare with. I just don't have a video portion control, but I do have the stub control. So what I worked out with the stub, the exe stub, was what it should have looked like, I guess. So I think, do I have my control here? Where's my control? Orphan rate, gap analysis, content retained. Oh, I don't have a control. I should have put together a diagram for the control. It's after 10. You have to get back to it. Okay, get back to work. Stop watching videos, you. No worries, Taco. All right, so in this one, we can see the gap. And guess where that gap happens to be? It happens to be between 12:32 and 12:34. Isn't that interesting? I didn't specifically look for any particular time. I just went, go through every single, go through the payload and look at every single timestamp, because every frame has a time associated with it. That's why this one was easier to work with than the others. Every single frame does have a time associated with it. In the WMVs and the MP4s, that's not the case. It's set up in a table in the header. But in this one, every single frame had a time code attached to it. So looking for where there was time code gaps. And then once I had found there was a time code gap, my next thing was to look at whether or not the binary can tell us if this is just because of the camera itself is motion activated. Are these gaps because of motion activation? And if they're not, how do we demonstrate that they're not? So that's what this study was about. So we did find that there was exactly what the defense said was missing, is missing in the freaking gap that the defense said was missing. And that was based on Karen knowing what time she drove through those lights and that intersection when she should have been at that intersection. So this little bar across the bottom here, these little orange, these are the time codes that I found for Jutris's original production. So remember, we had an email between 2:59 when he was sent the email and 3, I forget what it was, 3:50 something. What was it? 3:15 when he replied. Some of those timestamps actually do survive, but only in one video. They only survived in the 12 a.m. file. So the two exes are 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. None of Jutris's timestamps survived in the 5 to 6 a.m. file. So you see there's none of them there. You also see here that the index entries are frequent in this video here, but there's no index entries in this one. So if these are produced by the same cameras, why are these two files so different? And they're different in substantial ways, but they're also the same in some ways. So what happens is, if you have a look at these green sections, these are surviving video content. All of the red sections is how much video content is missing, and that missing video content can't even be explained by motion activation. That missing video content is actually indexes that appear in the file but have no content associated with them. So the content was originally there. It's just not there now. That's basically what all of these orange gaps are telling us. So the green gaps are surviving video content with indexes, and the orange gaps are indexes with no surviving content. We also have an orphaned seek index, although that's what the index is. These are the orphaned files where we're seeking to, and frames are getting orphaned because there's no content available to match them, if that makes sense. So down here, in the 12 a.m. footage, only 13.5% of the content was retained in that entire 1 hour recording. In the 5 a.m. footage, 29.7% of the content was retained. So obviously they needed a lot more to disappear out of the 12 a.m. timestamp, 12 to 1, than they needed to disappear out of the 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. footage. So that's what those two boxes are telling us. The amount of absent, which is just the opposite to these, obviously, 86.5% is absent from the 12 to 1, and 70.3% is absent, missing from the 5 to 6 video. But where it gets really interesting is where the gaps, they are perfectly synchronized between the channels. So remember, channel 0 is the front of the building looking out at the intersection. Channel 1 is the side of the building looking up Washington Street. So what we needed to see, if this was going to be correct, they need to be offset from each other, because, you know, there's a couple of seconds between a vehicle triggering the camera at the front of the building to when the vehicle triggers the camera on the side of the building facing up the street. So these need to be offset, but they're not. They are freaking 100% matched. Those two cameras cannot trigger simultaneously because they're looking at different things. Their field of view is in different places. So that's what this one's telling us. It's saying that all the gaps match exactly, and that's not natural for those videos, for those cameras, because they're offset to each other at least a second. If not, I don't know, if you were speeding through that intersection, maybe half a second, but they're not. They're completely and utterly matched down to the millisecond. That's what we're seeing here. The missing portions are matched down to the millisecond, and the retained portions in the green are matched down to the millisecond. So that's how we know it's not motion activated or sensor that's causing this pattern. So in this one, we're looking at the gap detail. So up here, so that gap in 1232 and 1234, that there, this is where we're zoomed in on that gap. And it happens just a little after there's a little bit retained. And then this whole section is removed and there's a little bit retained at the end. So this was done by eyeball. If they were going to make this match entirely, then they would have probably taken it from here to here instead of this bit in between. So that tells us this is an eyeball match where that's been removed from. the convergence evidence at this window, the seek index, so the orphaned records, so the orphaned frames seek index written at recording time contains 3 entries pointing to this window. Jutris's production timestamps show active file writing to those offsets in the actual file, in the actual location in hex, I guess you could say. They show his file writes to those sections, but there's no PS video packets that survived in those file writes. So traces of his production are there, but there's no matching video for it. So both channel 0 and channel 1 are simultaneously absent as well as simultaneously present. So that's what we're looking at there. So when we did a gap analysis on, this is the convergence pattern, but I don't want to get into that one. It's a little bit confusing. Hopefully you understood what's going on there. Damn, I'm so behind. Oh no, you should have known because I put it on X, corn pope. So are we following what I've got there? Are we following what I've got so far, or did I get too technical for everyone? Because this is what I need from you guys. If I got too deep into it and you didn't quite understand it, I've got to revise how I'm explaining it to you before I put a video out, because I don't want to get to that point in the videos that I put out. I would rather know what user understanding and what user not understanding. If you want to type it into the chat, what you are understanding, what you're not understanding is probably easier, like explain this bit to me again, I don't get this bit. That would be awesome, because then I know when I put the videos together, because I'm going to do a video for each of these essentially. So if we get to the videos and I'm still not explaining it right, that's no good. We need everyone to, like most people, to understand it. So if you want to tell me now that we've got this far, whether you're following me or not, or you want me to re-explain something that you're not quite getting, hit me up right now and we'll try and iron that out before we go too much further. I got a lot more files. This is just 1, 2, 3 of where are we at? I think 11 files. I think we've done 4 of 11 because one of them's half good and half Ray. So 4 of 11 files. I'm not going to try and do all of them in this video, but the point of doing this right now is just asking, what do you understand? What don't you understand? Am I explaining it in a way that is understandable? I can show 2 videos along with the timeline to show where the gaps are. To show where well, here's the problem with that. I get what you're asking for, US Glucci. I hope that's how you say it. If it's missing, I can't show it to you. It's not there to show it to you. So I can show you the point where the cuts happen, but it's not there to show you what's missing, if that makes sense. I just joined Aussie. Is this a new tool you are using? I sort of understand everything. Thank you. That's good, Mick. Glad you're understanding. Not a new tool, just a new method, Boda Bob. I decided to go about this with a new method. I ditched all the scripts that I started with, which for Corn Pope's benefit is how we got a little bit off track there. You'll know what I'm talking about. We got a little bit off track there because I was doing direct pattern matching with let's take 15 bytes from the start and then move 30 bytes into the file and take another 15 bytes and see if we get some pattern matches. So that was where I started this project, and I ended up finding false matches, things that look like dates and timestamps and video footage, maybe the start of a segment, maybe the end of a segment, maybe missing segments that shouldn't have, that were places they shouldn't have been. And that's because there's a lot of noise in these files are really noisy. There's a lot of noise. So whenever I made a match, I was finding it really hard to figure out if it was a match on a frame, or if it was a match on a field, or if it was a match on, it was really hard that way. So I ended up scrapping that. I got totally lost. Lead corn pop up the garden path. She knows what I'm talking about. We both got completely lost in something there. Now I scrapped all of that code and started from fresh. And where I started from was how the forensic people say that you need to do it. So this is a completely new set of code and a completely new methodology and a way to do it that's more structured than the pattern matching I was doing before. So right, so show that as a gap. So you want me to rebuild the videos with just black screen where the gaps are? Is that what you're saying? It's a good idea, and Rachel and I did discuss it, but who wants to sit there and look at a black screen for 6 minutes? That was the only reason we didn't, was because one part had 5 minutes and 27 seconds missing, another one had 6 minutes and 33 seconds missing, and then we're looking here, this one's a couple of minutes. Yeah, but there was also in the good Ray footage, there was a bit that was taken out, I think on purpose, because you would just be sitting there looking at the roller door with the number 3 on it for 12 minutes. So but if you think that's worth doing, I mean, who wants to look at black screen for 12 minutes? Speed that up. It doesn't, even speeding it up doesn't give you the sense that stuff's missing there. Do you get what I'm saying? So we're still brainstorming how we can visually do that in a video without boring everyone to freaking tears. Because I'm telling you, nobody wants to sit here with me for 12 minutes looking at a black screen. So even though it does give us a good idea what's missing where. So, that's the whole reason I decided to do these diagrams that you're looking at, because now you can see what's missing with a within the entire track. You can see what portion and how big that portion is in the track. Well, you could put the time that is missing on the black screen. Yes, that's what we're talking about, Elizabeth. We're just discussing how we're going to go about it. So Elizabeth says, if it's over my head, it still goes into my brain. That's funny, because I know people who say that to me, like they understand what I'm saying. It goes into the brain, but it's over the head. So with listening to future vids, I start to understand. You are very good at explaining. Cool. Phew. So Mr. Yannetti says, just a thought, but didn't Jutra say that he burnt the videos to a CD when he refused to say that the data was... No, that's not what Jutra said at all, and his email proves what he said. His email, if you want me to get it up on the screen, I think I have it here. Let me think about this. It's in downloads. Lewis Jutras's email. That's what we want. I'll show you what. This is Jutras disavowed the CD because that's not what he gave to them. I'll show you the email. So, little sidetrack here, guys. Jutras was emailed by Matthew Dunn at 2:39 p.m. on the 7th of February. Good afternoon, Mr. Jutras. We spoke the other day about retrieving video footage from Pequisite. I was wondering if you also had access to the town hall cameras and the public library. If so, could I get footage for any cameras to capture any parts of the street from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. and from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m.? So he sent that at 2:39 on the 7th. On the same day, at 3:51, Jutras writes back, I've sent you a file share request, not a CD. So you should receive an email with a password. There are 2 executable files in that file share. So this is an online file share, not a CD. You can download and then click on the file, which will open the viewer and play the video. So we know that Jutras packaged it as an exe player with the payload attached. There are 2 cameras that face Washington Street, 1 on each building. I have 2 cameras in each video section for the requested times. The recorders time are linked to the NTP pool, which is the same way phones stay in sync with the NTP servers. And the dates and timestamps are correct. Let me know if you have any questions. So when he got on the stand and Lally showed him a CD, he said, no, yes, it's just like a Dropbox, Bob. File share is just like a Dropbox. File share is exactly how we're getting the FOIAs off the DA's website, file share. So, yeah, Jutras was disavowing the CD. That's not how I provided those files, Misty and Eddie, just so you know. I can show you what. It's just like Dropbox. Yep. Let me show you what one looks like. Shit. Hang on. Let me show you what one looks like. This is a file share to the DA's file share. Let me open that up. And I'll share that for you so you can see what the file share looks like. It's password. His was password protected. This one is not password protected. This one is give us your details and we'll let you in. But that's what a file share looks like through the government servers. And that's what Jutras provided him. Only instead of having, email and password, oops, I just showed you everything. Instead of having email and password, it should have email and everything. It should have the password. So, all right. Moving timeline, animated map showing Karen Reid route and actual video with gaps would make this 100% clear what is happening. A moving timeline. Okay. I didn't have time for that with everything else, but I will put some time into working out how to do this. For what I was trying to do first is get all of this reported into proper forensic reports and sent through to Karen's team. That's what I'm aiming for here. We will screw around with animations and all sorts of stuff afterwards. Like right now, I just want to get this out and over to her team because she's doing depositions. She needs this ASAP. So that's why I've focused on it so hard. Just she needs it ASAP. She doesn't need to be waiting around for me to screw around with animations for you guys. But we'll get to it. I promise we will. All right. So did that answer your question? It is what I have. It's just not animated, essentially. But yes. I was going to get Rachel to do that with the video that she burnt for us already. But, I mean, she'd already put so much time in on that. She got kids and school and all the other stuff going on as well. So we got what we got there. All right. Do we want to do another one or are we all head fucked now? We got more. Let me see what I've done so far. Let me mark off the list what we've done. Movies. Okay. Reports. Give me a list. I've already done a video on the voicemails, and I did find the same thing with the voicemails, but I refined my process to write that report, to do the examination and write that report, which did exact vision. It's this one. So let me just put exact vision on the screen for you to digest while I'm going through the reports. We've done exact vision. We didn't do Mulaney. Mulaney's a different file type. Mulaney and the ring camera. All right, so corn paper want the ring camera. Let's do the ring camera. Let's do it. I just got to remember where I put the ring camera stuff. It's probably in here. Front ring. Oops, no, not in there. Hang on. Ring camera. Here we go. Open that with Google and share this tab. You guys have seen something like this already. It was my first script run, how that works out. This is my revised script run. So I found a little bit more in the revised script run. Let me just quickly look at my report to remember what I found in detail. So this is the driveway ring camera when Karen Reed's reversing up. It's only 1 minute, so let's play it. Let us play it before I do the diagram. Let me just make sure I have the spots in memory. We stop the video when those spots come up. So those are stitch marker. I got them by time here. (42) entry delta milliseconds. Oh my god, I probably shouldn't have rearranged that. Normal. A phase anomaly. All right, so we've got more phase anomalies. We've got 19 frames that are phase anomalies happening in here. That's all these purple ones. That's that purple color. We've got our splice stub. It's still in the same place as it was with my first analysis script. That content gap is still there in the same spot. The stitch markers in here and here, which we're looking at here, we're looking at stitch marker 1 is at 16 seconds, and then 58 seconds, and then 63. Our gap is at 42, all right? So we're going to go stitch marker, gap, stitch marker, stitch marker. All right, let's do that. Let's put the video up. Replace with the video. Okie dokies. First stitch marker is 16 seconds. Right here. First stitch marker is here. All right. I just went 1 second past it. There's a stitch there. So this is what's happened. She takes the video out, she edits it, and then she stitches it back in again. So you can't see visually on the screen you can't see where that stitch happened. But in the binary, you can see where that stitch happened. The next stitch is the gap. There's a gap here at 42 seconds. So let's find 42 seconds. Do you want to watch that one more time? The stitch is here at 16. So watch it one more time. There is the first stitch. This one is visual. This next stitch is visual. It's at 42. 39, 40. In 2 seconds, watch the snow. It's going to be weird. You're going to see the snow stops for half a second. It's 650 milliseconds, so it's a little bit more than half a second. So watch when it says 42. That's when that snow's going to stop. See it? Right there. Do you see the snow stop? Go again. Watch it stop. Bam, right there. All right? That's our gap. Visual in this footage. In the other footage, it hasn't been visual, but in this one, it is visual. So we don't have to screw around with that too much. Let me look at the next marker. 58 is the next marker. All right. 45. Here we go. Coming up. This is 1 second before. Right there. Oh, look. Her tail lights. You can already see just here. That's what they did. They changed her tail lights. And it's so funny because everyone was that. Remember, wee woo. People thought that was actually. Let me just go back. That is. No, that is actually wee woo. There you go. So Karen's already left out here. So let's take it back from before that stitch. So that's Karen leaving there. Yep. And so the next stitch, the end of the stitch is where this wee woo occurs. 58 there. So that's the next stitch. That's our out point for this stitch. Hang on. Let me just check. Yeah, that's our out point. So the entire section from the first stitch point to this stitch point, all of that was taken out and edited up to wee woo. So there's one more splice point at 63 seconds, which is right at the end, and that's right at the tail section, which is not really relevant. 63 seconds right here. I think this is just the yeah, that's the tail section. So the end stub, if you prefer, that end stub was the bit that was kept in there. So you got the beginning stub before the splice, then you've got between two splices, which is the bit that they completely removed and changed. Hang on, let me get the diagram up because there's no point in explaining it to you unless I've got the diagram back up. Okay. So splice point 1, splice point 2. This whole section was took out, but this section here was retained. And then that's the tail stub. So this whole section here was took out and edited. And that's 650 milliseconds. The gap is this purple bit here. immediately preceded by a duplicate frame, which is why when we saw it, there was actually a visual pause in the snow because it's got a duplicate frame right next to it. That green window sticks out like a sore thumb since you pointed it out. I know. The day that Lexus makes or just puts these vehicles out with the option for Hulk green upholstery will be the day that actual footage looks like looks right according to the Commonwealth. So all right, so that one should be understood because I've explained that one like forwards and backwards and upside down and even done a completely new diagram for you. Are we good with that one? I'll just explain what these bits mean for those who haven't looked at it. So if we're looking down here, so what we're looking at here is H.264 is not ring camera format. So this has been exported out into H.264 format. And we know that because all the other ring cams are not in H.264 format. All the other ring cams are pretty much in their original format, but they're not the raw data. They have been exported. They've all got FFmpeg fingerprints all over them. So they have been exported and run through an encoder like FFmpeg, which, you know, if we're talking about evidence, you're not supposed to do that shit. So, but essentially what we're looking at is H.264 format would look like that, right? If it's in the normal ring camera format, you're not going to see these. You're not going to see a high frame and a low frame and a high frame and a low frame. You're not going to see that. What you're going to see is more like, let me pull one up for you. Downloads. I think I've got one in here. Let me see. CTTS visualizer. CTTS control. Here we go. This is what it would look like. This is what all the other rings look like. This is, I just pulled one out of the bunch that I thought wouldn't be jimmied with, and what do you know? It's not jimmied with. But this is what it would look like, essentially. So you're looking at even what do you call it? Even iframes. So the yellow ticks across the top here, those are iframes. And then you've got your P frames. That's what that is. Pretty normal looking file, but it's not H.264 format. It's actually RMS Amazon format. See, it says it up here. It's in Amazon format. They've actually got their own encoding format. And that's what this looks like, Amazon encoding format. And the yellow ticks are all at regular intervals where the iframes should be. And everything is, all the P frames are where they should be as well. So that's what a normal file looks like. Using this same diagram, we go to this one ring cam from the same footage, and all of a sudden it's H.264 format, and it's 813, 814, 815. Hang on, that's not what I was looking for. 600 by each of these gaps is 800 wide. Every single one of those gaps is 800 wide. So that's what you would get for normal H.264 B frame reordering. So it's been exported from Amazon format to H.264 B frame reordering. But it's also now got something that this other thing hasn't got. Amazon doesn't have a CTTS table. So we're like, we have no composition offset table. All frames display in decode order. And this is the expected signature. It's not It's no longer in Amazon format, but this is the expected residual signature of genuine Amazon format, right? No anomalies in the file at all. But when we go back to that one, all of a sudden we've got a CTTS table, which has an iframe for literally the entire video. So that whole section is all iframes. From here through to here has a CTTS table for every single iframe, essentially. And that's not how CTTS tables work. Most you would see, well, a clean export's going to have 0, but at most you would see 3 in a H264B frame reordering. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing as many CTTS run length entries as there are frames in that section. So that's what's wrong with it, essentially. And then at a segment join, we see it split 1600 instead of being 800, 800. When we get to one of the CTS joins, we got 1600 on the left side and 16 on the right side. That's not an even split. So that's done by eye. That someone has cut this by eye, not using FFmpeg to detect where that frame ends. Someone's cut it in the middle of the frame, essentially, or a little bit towards the end of the frame. So someone's done that by eye, is what that tells us. So that's what that footage came down to. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it. Let me just run through my report very quickly to make sure that I covered it all. The file carries as an FFmpeg encoder tag, LAVC version 58.91.1. All 106 control files from the same camera in the same disclosure period, same FOIA disclosure period, carry no encoder tag. So all the other controls from the same ring camera, I think it was 100, and I'll tell you what the figures are, but there's 106 in there. This is an outlier. The file was selectively processed. The composition time offset table is absent in all 106 control files, but it's 1,292 run length entries in this file. The structure composition table offset absent in all 106 control files, 1,292 in this file. The structure produced when FFmpeg assembles a file from segments with timing discontinuities, get that word out, that cannot be run length compressed, essentially. The 3 stitch pairs at 16, 054 seconds, 58, 904 seconds, 63, 254 seconds are mechanical FFmpeg segment join signatures that cannot occur in continuous footage. The file is an assembly of at least 4 different segments. A 650 millisecond content gap at frame 853, file time 42.603 represents approximately 13 frames of content absent from the assembled output. And then the file resolution is 960 by 544. It's exactly half the resolution of the 106 control files. So that's everything in there. And I can show you some of the report. It's going to do your head in, but I can show you some of the report. Let's have a look here. Switching. I'll tell you, I hate this new layout in Restream. All right, the report for this file. This is going to be too technical, but I just thought I'd show it to you anyway, just so you can see that I am turning it to English as hard as I can. These two are pretty easy to understand. So the file appears in the driveway camera index produced by the Norfolk County DA's office on the 3rd of February with is file found equals true. Sorry, this bit here. Is file found equals true. So all of the files in the folder came with an index PDF, and that was checked as, yep, this file exists in this collection of footage. However, it is among 69 files listed as found that were not produced. It is the only file in the index falling within the 12:30 a.m. to the 6 a.m. window that is missing from the index. The rest of them are outside of that time period, basically. So that's what that finding is telling us. This one's talking about the FFM coder, which we just said, that they all didn't have it in them. This one's talking about the CTTS table having these run length entries, which they're not supposed to have. And then this one is talking about the content gap and how we found the content gap. This one's talking about the 3 stitch pairs, what frames they fell at and how we found them, etc. And then this one here is talking about the 4 segments between the stitches. So that's kind of what my reports look like. So you actually be much happier with me showing you the visuals, the visual demonstrations than the reports, right? Am I right or am I right? All right, what's the next one we've got? What else have we got here? Let's move on to the next one. I'm not sure what else I've got demonstrations for. Ready to go. Let me do it this way. AMRs. I don't think I've got any. Oh yeah, look, AMRs. This is probably easy enough to understand. So in the voicemail recordings, again, we had 2 outliers. We had 8 files all up. Hang on, let's go down here. We had 8 files all up, but we had 2 outliers. And so all the other 8 files fitted into a set pattern. And these 2 did not. These 2 were outside of the set pattern. And the set pattern was that we had between 18 and 20 seconds, which we think might have been John's greeting. And it can vary a little bit depending on the carrier. So, but not by 50 seconds, only by 1 or 2 seconds. So we picked 9.4 as the average between all of the controls. We noticed that was 72 seconds difference between Karen's recorded duration and what the Celebrite report recorded as the duration. So a 72 seconds difference. But if we say that we're already accounting for 19.4 average seconds each file for John's greeting, then we need to minus that 19.4 and we end up with 52 and 51 seconds. Those are the deficits that we notice visually. This is Rachel looking at the files, looking at the at Karen Reed's call log, looking at the Celebrite report, doing all the math, listening to it, timing it with a stopwatch. This is all Rachel's doing. And then when I go look at the file, this is what I find. Okay, so we see that there is this deficit between the files. Karen's is the lighter orange or lighter red, and the actual binary file duration. So same with that one. But in all of these, it's only a difference by John's greeting. And that's what we see over here. Our control, or our mean for the greeting, is 19.5 seconds. And then we give it, a little bit either side for range, like 1 second either side for range, and they all fall in the range. That's that light green background. That's the range it falls into. But the deficit here, the 72-second deficit, is outside of anything that's control. Like, it's way bigger than that. I should have another one up there. Probably should fix that diagram. You don't notice these things until you're trying to explain them. It's so far deep down into things with like your microscope that you forget to zoom out occasionally. So I've just zoomed out. What kind of skill level does it take to do the video tampering? Beginner. Oh, look, it's beginner level. Well, hang on. For a forensic examiner, it's intermediate. And I'll tell you why I say it's intermediate. For a forensic examiner, you would know all of the things that anti-forensics, like you're trained in what to look for in anti-forensics. Has someone else fiddled with this file? This is supposed to be Colleen Crawford's job, not actually fiddling with the files, but looking to see if they're fiddled with. So in that skill level, you learn how to look for those things. That's beginner level, how to find them. No, that's probably advanced level. How to find them is advanced level. Colleen's in the intermediate because she kept leaving fingerprints, right? If she was at the advanced level, knew what to look for, knew how to hide what to look for, we wouldn't be finding all these fingerprints. So it actually puts her skill level beginning to middle. Does that make sense? So she's not entirely overly skilled at this because we found too many fingerprints. So there's 2 files where she covered it pretty good, but we still were able to do these other types of analysis and still detect them. So I probably should come to one of those files. Let's go to a file. You already know the AMRs. There's a payload mismatch. What the actual metadata says is in these 2 outlier files doesn't match what the binary actually has in it. So that's the bottom line with those. Let's look at one where probably Mulaney. Let me have a look at the Mulaney file. I know I've got Mulaney here somewhere. Boop, 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 boop. Mulaney is B camera. Oh my God, where's Mulaney's? Hang on, we could do it with this. Yep, maybe not. Maybe not with that. Well, yeah, actually, it probably is going to be that. We probably are going to have to do it this way. Because what she did with Mulaney's file, she switched it up. There's 2 files where this matches, but they're not both dash cam files. There's one, I think, ring camera footage where she switched it up. And then there's Mulaney's. So she got the whole re-encode across the entire Mulaney file, like covered all of the CTTS tables up, got everything to be like really uniform, like 90 frames across the entire 90 frame segments across, like everything was even and uniform, which is how it should have looked, how all of her screwing around should have looked, but it only worked on an MP4. It didn't work on any of the other file types that she used. So that's why there's only 2 different MP4s that it worked with. But the scatter plot at the top is showing us the way that even though everything came out in my first scans of the binary as if everything looked normal, I had to dig into pixel analysis. So you take unusual areas, even though everything's pretty uniform, there's still a couple of spikes. You take unusual areas where those spikes appear and you pull 500 frames either side of the spike, and then you analyze the pixels between them. That's kind of how I had to do that with this file, because otherwise it came out, if you just did a quick scan of it the same way I did the other scans, you wouldn't have got to this detail. You would have just gone, this file's clean. So in here you can see the frame size. See how it's like really different here at this red line? The frame size is all different, but then through the rest of it, it's kind of scattered a little bit, like more evenly. There's 3 different spots here. So there's this red marker here where it's all, the frame size is very small. And then the frame sizes are sort of like very big here. And then they sort of come back to a different look again here. Can you see the 3 different patterns in the scatter plot here? So, and if you look down here, you can see this point here. It's kind of matching up to where this scatter plot changes here. And then this noisy bit in the middle here, which is where the frame sizes are all much larger. And then this little bit up here where there's very little, we see that sharp spike there. Very little difference. But then you've got this wide variance. So that's what those are sort of telling us about the frames. Let me read this to you from Mulaney's report so you understand what you're looking at. So what I did in the reports was I made sure that my executive summary was more or less written in plain English. Where are you, Mulaney? Report. Right here. All right. Yes, we know that it's not in its native dashcam output state. The MP4 container, length, fixed NAL unit structure, and ISO base media file organization are not produced by any dashcam. So that's the structure and the base file, like the organization of the structure, is very different. The entire file structure is FFmpeg output, identified to this specific version. This is a different version to the one we had previously, which is 56.4.1. This one is 2.8x at 2015. So the video content was fully re-encoded, not remuxed. So in the Karen Reed video where she's reversing out the driveway, that was remuxed. And that's why it kept a lot of the stitch points and the signature. This one was fully re-encoded all the way from scratch. The GOP, the group of pictures interval, is exactly 30 frames across all 1,961 frames, measured intervals, with 0 standard deviation. No camera produces this result. There's always some sort of deviation. The STTS table contains 53,291 individual entries. Again, not supposed to happen in any kind of video. So we're talking 1 entry per frame is the signature that we looked at before in the Karen Reed reversing up video. So that 1 entry per frame is the signature of FFmpeg rewriting the timing from scratch. The footage is encoded at 1280 by 40, which is not a standard resolution for any kind of law enforcement dashcam. The SPS frame cropping flag is absent, rather. So that means that the vertical content that is removed wasn't done by the SPS, wasn't done in the re-encoding. It was done prior, before this re-encode, essentially. So the visual review court footage confirms the same crop was present in trial 1 and 2. So what we're talking about here is, if I show you this screen and we go dash cams, let's go down smaller so you can see what we're talking about. Share screen. This was in all of the dash cams, by the way, not just Mulaney's. Noted in all of the dash cams. Share this. Oh, no, this one here. Yeah. So see how that's a strip? That's not how dash cams record that whole strip. I happen to have this paused on a very pixelated section of the video, which is pretty damn obvious what's going on there. So this came in different sizes, right? So there's this one, which is really just this footage here, but this section here cropped. This whole thing has been cropped to this film strip. But the camera itself did record all of this and all of this. For some reason, this is how they gave it to the defense. And this version here as well, like just cropping out this little bit in the middle. But that was the same with all of them. All the dash cams came in this. This is not native to dash cam. But they tried to make it look like you'll never notice if they all look the same, but that's just not how they record. That's just not how it looks. Anyway, that's what that's talking about. Just a note, could you look at the dash cam of the first officer to pull up? Yeah, that's Saraf. I have a suspicion that they altered that one too, the part when they first... Sweetheart, you're going to have to rewind this all the way back to the start. Corn paper, because I did Saraf's first. So straight after we finished watching all of the dash cams together, I pulled Saraf's up first. His entire... Hang on, let me get Saraf. No, it's not his... Well, it is his... It's... Hang on. Let me get the diagram up. This is Saraf's. One more time for Corn Pope. So this is Saraf. So see this section here? So from this point here, there's 6 minutes. Hang on. There's 5 minutes and 20 seconds cut out of it. And then over here, there is 17 minutes and 28 seconds cut out of it. But because those stitch marks do not visually change, I don't know how they've got 5 minutes and 27 seconds missing without that visual thing changing, unless they have just shifted the entire video. So if you look at it from here onwards, it never returns back to this. It's different all the way through. So this is what I think they've done so that you can't see where the stitches are. Interesting, but that's what you were after, right? It's the part when they first put the spotlight on John. No, the part is... Well, yeah, actually it could be. It's right. It's 30... Is that 30 seconds in? 30 minutes in. It's 30 minutes in. The first stitch point is 30 minutes in. But have a look at all of those black spots. All of those black spots are garbage packets. So they're all from the start. The garbage packets begin right at the beginning. So if I just zoom in on this. So you're probably talking, you know, somewhere here. I can't remember when he actually pulled up, but it's about 3 minutes in. So see where all these garbage packets start? That's probably where you're talking about. All those black spots are garbage. Look how big the garbage is here. So holy shit, I knew it was visual. You had to be able to see it visually. There are visual hints in some of the footage where you can see visually what they did. This one here, at half an hour, you can't visually see that one, which makes me think they shuffled everything from that point onwards, or they shuffled everything. See one of these black spots? They shuffled everything from that point forwards. So it's not visually, you can't really see how they've done it visually, but you can see it in the data. The data tells you. All right, so that was just to answer Compo. What are we up to? I think that's all I can do. I have a couple more on the chopping block. I'm about to poke through. I've got Temple Beth. I've got a timeline coming together for the gap missing in here. Hang on, I just hit the wrong button. All right, this gap here. So see that gap there? You'll never guess what that gap matches. I'm working on the Temple Beth right now. So we'll do another stream. We'll go through how these line up. It's only a small gap between the two, but it makes me think that there's a whole window they were trying to edit to hide the movement of others going past these cameras. So I'm formulating. I'm working on it. I do have the analysis done. I just don't have anything visual to show you on the Temple Beth. But it kind of lines up with this one. So if you look at, this is 12:32 to 12:34, and she's going from the right side of the screen. Hang on. She's going from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen towards the library. And there's supposed to be a 1 mile distance between them. And whilst the entire segment between the two cameras adds up, the window they chose was like closer to 1 second, like from the 12:34 gap right through. It's hard to explain. I'm still trying to get a visual together for it so I can explain it to you, but they kind of line up. And it seems to me like just, probably not going to be in the report, but me like surmising a hypothesis. Surmising and hypothesis. We'll get that eventually. I think they're trying to cover up a lot of movement in this gap. So it's from 12:32 right through to 12. What's the other end of that? It's right through to 12. Holy shit! I don't even have that report open yet. Temple Beth. Here we go. I think it's 36. I think it's 32 from the... Yeah, it's 32 from that gap, and then it's through to 36 in the Temple Beth. Interestingly, Temple Beth is actually produced in 2 different videos. It's consecutive footage. So Temple 1 and Temple 2, Temple 1 is, let me get the times right here. Temple 1 is, I forget the start time, right through to 12:32:01. And then there's a 6-second gap, and then temple 2 is 12:32:07 through to the end. So they have actually taken one contiguous recording that should have been 12 to 1 a.m. and they've split it into 2 videos. And they've got 6 seconds missing in the middle. And guess how long it takes for a car to cross the screen? I did count. I think I did a count on several cars. I think it was like 5 cars, and then got the mean or the average, how long it takes for a car to cross the screen from one side to the other, like so that the headlights, if they're coming in from one direction, the headlights just appear, and then as they're going out the other direction, their tail light disappears. 6 seconds. And how much is missing? 6 seconds. So isn't that interesting? I didn't see the video, but that's what I thought you were alluding to. Have I lost my sound again? Hello? Have I lost my sound again? I mean, my bubble's bubbling. My bubble's bubbling on the screen. Okay, it's Michelle. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. I did in 3 hours and I'm done. I'm brain fried now. Turning tech into English is not as easy as it sounds. In fact, it's easier to stick to the technobabble for longer periods and then switch to English for longer periods. But this whole tricky stuff in between where I'm switching between technobabble and English, oh my God, that's hard. You're testing me, guys. But if you understand what's going on, then that's what's important, because I can't make a video now on any of these findings and have anyone understand it if you guys don't get it. And if you did get it, I'm stoked. Yay. It was Michelle. Cool. So that's where we're at the moment. There's a lot more files. There's a lot more ferkery going on. But I'll split it up and do the rest in another video. I think the others are a bit more complex to understand. These were the easiest ones to understand. So the next lot are going to be a lot more difficult to explain because they're harder to understand. But more based on, now we know what the patterns are. So we know when she wants to cut a section out, what that looks like, and then, put it back in again. So we know that pattern, and we know that she's tried to split it up over different files so that you won't notice it. If she did it to all the dash cams, we'd notice it because they'd all have the same pattern. But she did 2 dash cams a WMB format and 1 dash cam is MP4 format. So she did it to the MP4 file, but the same thing she did there, she couldn't do to that other container format. She had to do something different with those container formats. But when we measure those container formats with other WMV formats, those patterns match. When we measure what she did with the MP4 container, those patterns match with other MP4s that she fucked with, but they're not all in the same sets. And that's where she was trying to put distance between anyone recognizing her patterns. Does that make sense? So should those bars be solid red? In this diagram here, that yellow section in the middle there, all of this should be green. At the end of the day, all of this should be green. If at all there's any orange bits, absent content, it should be it should be measurably regular on either side of a green bit. So it should look like, see, none of them are regular, so I can't even show you what. So see how you got green, regular red, green, irregular red. So that might show you, if everything looked like that, that would show you what content exists, and then this is the motion sensor gap. So it takes a second for the motion sensor to kick in, and then you've got your content recorded. It might be a little bigger, but then your motion sensor gap will be the same. That's what it would look like. But none of these are motion sensor gap because look at them. They're all over the fucking shop. So that section should look more regular, like a green, orange, but very, very regular in the orange sections. All these orange sections should be the same size, if at all they are motion sensor gaps, but they're not. You can tell because they're completely erratic. They're random gaps. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. I wish yeah. You're talking about in the actual footage. There were so many things that we couldn't unsee in the actual footage, and like Rachel was going through frame by frame by frame and going, oh my God, look at this, and oh my God, look at that, and oh my God, look at this. It was so much. When we all looked at this stuff, we all noticed shit was weird. And it's good to have some verification, right, Cornpape? To see that the file actually verifies there's something weird going on in that section. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at, guys, and I am going to sign off and book us in for, let's see how I go for tomorrow night. If I'm not keeping my son awake too much, because poor bugger's got to work. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm still making noise. And he's got to work. So if I haven't been too noisy and kept him awake too hardcore, I will try and book myself in for the same time tomorrow. If I did keep him awake and the poor bugger didn't get much sleep, then I will have to put it to Saturday. Oh, tomorrow is Saturday. Cool, he doesn't have to work tomorrow. He can sleep in. Oh, phew. So maybe tomorrow, guys. You're in the actual video. Yes, I mean in the actual video. Same with the green window at John's house and the red tail light glare in the snow, but the tail light is shining white light. Yes, we found a lot of those, Bob. We found a lot of those where the tail light was turned to white when old Crawford here didn't realize that the bulbs are red. There was a lot of that stuff going on. Ozzy, you have to go through that video so I can show you what I mean and you can reference the binary. Okay. We'll do that in the next live stream. How's that? So it's like 3:40 a.m. here. I'm going to bed. So I hope you all join me again tomorrow. I'll try and book it in for tomorrow and make sure I'm on time. And the only thing that's probably gonna get hairy is probably the rain. If it's raining, I might not be able to get on. So I'll book it, but we'll see how we go. See you tomorrow. That was my fave mistake of Crawford's. I think I know which one you're talking about, actually, Corny. I think I do know which one you're talking about. So, all right, guys. Be good. Enjoy your day, whatever it is over there. To the Aussies in the house, enjoy your sleep from here on in. I think there's only Michelle. Enjoy your sleep, Michelle. Sorry I kept you for 3 hours. I said I would only be like an hour and a half. But oh well. We got carried away. All right. No worries. Bye, everyone.